If you've been wondering what's next for CD Projekt Red after the rollercoaster ride of Cyberpunk 2077 and its release, the answer is finally starting to take shape. Cyberpunk 2, which was once just called by its codename Project Orion, is now firmly in development, and the studio is beefing up its workforce to make it happen. At the same time, The Witcher 4 remains the company's primary focus, but both projects are seeing big growth at the moment, with nearly 800 developers across all teams and 116 of those focusing on Cyberpunk 2. CD Projekt Red is clearly entering its next big era. Let's go over all of the updates from the developer, but before we get into it, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Cyberpunk news. And if you want to further support the channel, consider becoming a member for early access on every video, members only content, your name in the credits, the ability to write in and have your comments featured, and access to the Discord community. The big news is that Cyberpunk 2, internally known for a long time as Project Orion, in the past few months has officially transitioned from the conceptual stage into full pre-production. That means the broad strokes are done, and the team is now hammering out gameplay systems, story beats, art direction, and the overall foundation that the game will eventually be built on. This is the stage where writers, artists, and engineers start building the skeleton of the game together. Think of it as setting the blueprints for a skyscraper before construction crews actually break ground. It's not flashy yet, of course, and there probably isn't anything tangible to show off yet to the Cyberpunk fanbase, but it's where the real shape of the game begins to emerge for the development team. And the team behind Cyberpunk 2 isn't small. Back in April 2025, only about 96 developers were currently working on the sequel, but by the end of July of this year, that number had now grown to 116 developers currently working on Cyberpunk 2. It may not sound like a ton compared to The Witcher 4's massive crew of 444 developers, but for a game that's just in pre-production at the moment, that's a sign that CD Projekt Red is serious about getting momentum behind the project. Previously, CDPR had the manpower to work on one major project at a time and then shift focus once that game had been released. But now with the bolstering of their numbers, CDPR is able to work on two major projects side by side like Cyberpunk 2 and Witcher 4 simultaneously. If they continue to manage the teams and ensure quality on release, unlike Cyberpunk 2077's disastrous launch of course, then this could be a good sign for the future, especially in a gaming industry where sometimes, unfortunately, looking at you Bethesda, we have to wait 10 to 20 years for new games in our favorite series. But now with two dedicated teams each focusing on their own projects, we will hopefully be able to get these sequels out a lot quicker in the future. I mean, at this point, it's been 10 years since The Witcher 3 release, and almost 5 years since Cyberpunk 2077 released back in 2020. Even though Cyberpunk 2 is ramping up its development, The Witcher 4 is still CD Projekt's biggest project currently in the works. More than half of the company's entire development staff is currently working on it, with the team size jumping from 422 people in April to 444 by the end of July. The Witcher franchise has always been CDPR's bread and butter, and it makes sense that this new chapter, reportedly kicking off a whole new trilogy of Witcher games, is the top priority for them at the moment. But with one team focusing on The Witcher's development and the other focusing on Cyberpunk's development, we will hopefully get these games a lot quicker in the future, and this new Witcher saga plans to release 3 games in a 6-year period. And at this point for The Witcher 4, we've already seen a cinematic trailer featuring Ciri, a tech demo running in Unreal Engine 5, and some teases about the game being more console focused than past Witcher entries. It's the furthest project along, but at this point still years away from release, and best case scenario we're probably looking at a 2027 release date for The Witcher 4. But for now, the game is the big machine, but Cyberpunk 2 is quickly becoming the scrappy upstart that could steal some thunder. Let me know down in the comments which game from CDPR you're most excited about right now. Are you ready to play through Ciri's story in The Witcher 4, or are you ready to get back to Night City in the Cyberpunk universe? The growth across the studio at the moment is staggering. In just 3 months between April 30th and July 31st, 2025, CD Projekt Red hired 69 new developers to work on their titles, bringing its total headcount now to 799, and all of that in a gaming industry at the moment filled with layoffs over the past several years. For CDPR, that's a 10% increase in a single quarter, and the hires are spread across every project the studio has in motion at the moment. We will talk about those other projects of course here in just a moment, but to put it into perspective, The Witcher 3 had about 240 developers working on it during the main production phase in the mid-2010s, and Cyberpunk 2077 right before launch in 2020 had about 400 developers working on it, and today CDPR has now nearly doubled that staff spread across multiple games at once. That scale shows how much the company has grown since the days when the Witcher series was considered a niche PC RPG. And it's not just The Witcher 4 and Cyberpunk 2 currently in development at the studio. CD Projekt Red has other irons in the fire too. Project Sirius, The Witcher spin-off game, grew modestly from 48 to 51 developers. Project Hadar, a mysterious new IP that the studio has been teasing since 2022, also saw some growth in these recent updates, going from 19 to 22 developers currently working on the project. And then there are other projects, small, unannounced efforts which grew from 14 to 17 developers. Project Hadar in particular is still a big mystery for fans of CD Projekt Red. The studio insists it isn't some wild experiment, but it's supposedly an original story and action RPG from CDPR. For now though, Project Hadar remains in the research stage rather than actual development, so don't expect to hear much about it anytime soon. But I'm super excited to learn more about this project and exactly what this could be when they're ready to share it with us. Now here's the catch, don't expect Cyberpunk 2 to show up anytime soon. Based on CD Projekt Red's track record, the timeline from pre-production to release usually takes about 4 to 5 years at minimum. Cyberpunk 2077, for example, had hundreds of developers working on it years before launch, and right now Cyberpunk 2 is still just setting the table and getting the ball rolling on its development. Realistically right now, that means Cyberpunk 2 might not be in our hands to play until the very late 2020s or even 2030 at this point. It sounds painful to say, of course, to us Cyberpunk fans, but these massive RPGs take some time, and after the rocky launch of Cyberpunk 2077, CDPR knows it can't afford to rush their projects. But the good news is that the studio seems to have learned its lesson. Cyberpunk 2077 eventually became one of the best redemption arcs in gaming history, thanks to updates like 2.0, the Phantom Liberty expansion, and the Ultimate Edition of the game. The steady improvement over the last several years has rebuilt a lot of trust in the studio, and the team is clearly looking to apply all of that experience to Cyberpunk 2 and its development. We just need the games to be solid at launch instead of waiting years for the game to actually be complete. And of course, The Witcher 4's release will tell us a lot about all of this. Cyberpunk 2 is pretty exciting for a few reasons. First, it's the follow-up to a game that, love it or hate it at this point, became one of the most talked about RPGs in years. And for me personally, after all of the updates and everything of course, it's one of the best open world games of all time. Night City had soul to it, and while the launch was messy back in 2020, the world of Cyberpunk is still dripping with potential. Second, CD Projekt Red has promised that Cyberpunk 2 will expand beyond just a single city, and that's a really exciting possibility to think about for this upcoming game. While Night City of course will still probably exist and be a major focus of the game, Cyberpunk creator Mike Pondsmith has already teased another city with a Chicago Gone Wrong vibe, hinting that the sequel might broaden the map and tone of the Cyberpunk universe. That alone has fans buzzing about what the sequel could look like and what sort of role this new city could play in Cyberpunk 2's story. Will this new city be just a small stop in the story, or will it be a fully fleshed out additional open world area to explore for us? Of course, only time will tell. And third here, the game's development is happening in a post-Cyberpunk 2077 world. That means lessons learned, tech improved, and a team that knows where things went wrong last time. It's a second chance, and CDPR seems determined not to waste it this time around. While Cyberpunk 2 and its development builds up slowly, The Witcher 4 is the clear frontrunner in CDPR's lineup at the moment. With over 440 developers, it's the most advanced project that they're currently working on, and it's shaping up to be another massive fantasy epic. Fans have already gotten glimpses of Ciri's role and some impressive Unreal Engine 5 tech demos. Hopefully, of course, they get the game running good in Unreal Engine 5. But The Witcher 4 is likely to release well before Cyberpunk 2 at this point, giving CD Projekt time to stagger its two flagship series instead of crowding them into similar release windows. Honestly, right now, Witcher 4, like I stated before, probably has a 2027 release window at the very earliest, but it's a smart play for them. Witcher fans get their next big hit first, and Cyberpunk fans know that their sequel is being carefully nurtured in the background. And to be fair, at this point, Witcher fans have been waiting for almost 10 years now for a new game. One thing worth pointing out at this point is just how far CD Projekt has come since 2023. Back then, the company announced unfortunate layoffs affecting around 9% of its total workforce, which was roughly 100 people at that point in time. It was a rough and tough period for the studio, with employee morale shaken and even some union efforts popping up. Now, just 2 years later, the studio has already 70 new developers in just 3 months and is now approaching 800 total employees. That's a massive turnaround for the studio, and it shows that CDPR is not only recovering, but investing heavily in its future. And of course, none of this growth happens without money. CD Projekt Red reported 443 million Polish zloty in sales revenue for the first half of 2025, which is about $122 million. Cyberpunk 2077 and its expansion Phantom Liberty were the big drivers of this profit margin, making up almost 60% of total revenue, and the Witcher series chipped in at another 15%. Even though profits dipped slightly compared to the previous year before, the company is clearly betting on long-term growth, expanding teams, investing in multiple projects, and building towards the next decade of Witcher and Cyberpunk games. This is the current strategy, and so far it looks sustainable. So where does that leave fans today? For Witcher fans, the wait for series news story is a little more concrete, of course, with a trailer, a tech demo, and over 440 people currently working on the project. The Witcher 4 feels like something we'll actually get our hands on in the next few years. For Cyberpunk fans, it's more of a slow burn. Cyberpunk 2 is still years away from release, but the fact that it's officially in pre-production with a growing team is the most promising update we've had since it was announced. The hype train is warming up, even if it hasn't left the station yet. Of course, there have been many rumors of upcoming projects to keep fans of both series occupied until each series' next release. Cyberpunk 2077 could still be getting updates in the future, of course we don't know anything official yet. Many are also holding out hope that a new expansion will drop, even though it's probably unlikely. But a Cyberpunk mobile game is rumored to be in the works at Scopely. A Cyberpunk live-action project is being worked on and is at some point in development, and Edgerunner Season 2 is on the horizon. As for Witcher fans, there have been some wild rumors going around the gaming world that The Witcher 3 might get another expansion, which seems pretty crazy since the game is 10 years old. Of course, that's just a rumor as of now. But The Witcher 3 did get official mod support and is currently rumored to be getting console mods at some point in the future. There's also The Witcher 1 remake that's currently in development at Fold's Theory and being overseen by the team at CD Projekt Red. I honestly can't wait for this project. It's gonna be cool to see a full remake of The Witcher 1. If you saw CDPR's Koi, Something is Happening on September 4th post and started dreaming about a surprise DLC announcement or a stealth Cyberpunk 2 reveal, here's the reality check straight from the studio. This announcement isn't new content for Cyberpunk 2077, and it's not news about the sequel either. CDPR clarified in a reply to their original tweet that it's an activity tied to Phantom Liberty's anniversary celebration, which means you should probably think in the realm of community event vibes rather than quests, patches, or expansions for the game. Cue a bunch of disappointed replies and a lot of maybe say that up front next time, which honestly is fair. But the silver lining around all of this is that the hype whirlwind shows just how hungry the fan base is for more content. Cyberpunk 2077's redemption arc left people wanting more, of course, and that demand doesn't just vanish because an anniversary tease turns out to be smaller scale. For now though, the studio's energy is clearly pointing at the long haul. Witcher 4 is in full production and Cyberpunk 2 quietly taking shape in the background. Celebrate the milestone, enjoy whatever anniversary goodies pop up, and keep expectations realistic. Of course, until CDPR raises the curtain for real. CD Projekt Red though, through all of these development updates, is clearly entering a new era for them. The Witcher 4 is pushing forward as the company's flagship project that's next to release, while Cyberpunk 2 quietly builds up steam in the background. Together, these two games represents the future of CDPR, and with nearly 800 developers now working across all of their different projects, the studio is more equipped than ever to deliver us something big. It may be a long wait, of course, The Witcher 4 possibly in 2027, and Cyberpunk 2 not until maybe 2030, but the payoff could be well worth it for us fans. After all, both series have already proven they can capture players' imaginations like few others have been able to achieve. And if CD Projekt sticks to landing this time around, we could be looking at the start of another golden era for RPG fans. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date with all the latest Cyberpunk news. And if you're looking for something else to watch, click one of the videos you're seeing on screen right now. I will see you there. Also, a huge thank you to all the amazing channel members.